Let's get right into today's explainer because we are tackling a really fascinating question today, one that fundamentally redefines how we actually understand global wealth. Think about this. How far does a massive sum of money truly go depending on where you drop your pin on the map? We're going to take the exact same pile of money using some really incredible data curated by the ALUX community and watch it drastically expand and contract depending entirely on the city skyline outside your window. To start, I want to hook right into our core theme with this profound shift in modern wealth. The middle class is now split into renters and owners. Historically, the middle class was defined by things like income brackets or specific occupations. But today, the ultimate dividing line, the real moat between building wealth and simply paying for your lifestyle, is real estate. At the end of the day, it's all about who holds the deed. So to properly test this theory of wealth and ownership, we need a solid benchmark. And honestly, there's no benchmark quite as universally understood as $1 million. A cool 7 figures. It's literally the ultimate standardized language of luxury. Today, we're taking this exact $1 million on a world tour to see precisely what it buys you in the prime property markets of the absolute most sought-after cities on Earth. Here's our quick roadmap for today. First, the new wealth divide. Second, the $1 million benchmark. Third, the ultra-exclusive enclaves. Fourth, the global metropolis middle. Fifth, high-value prime markets. And finally, redefining real estate value. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the new wealth divide, establishing real estate as the ultimate wealth metric. Real estate ownership is the new boundary between building wealth and paying for it. You see, understanding value isn't just about finding a beautiful home to live in. It's really about understanding how wealth scales across borders and how raw market forces dictate the literal physical space you are permitted to occupy. Your financial power is almost entirely relative to your geographic coordinates. Moving right along to Section 2, the $1 million benchmark, visualizing global extremes in purchasing power. Okay, so according to the Knight Frank Wealth Report, the contrasts here are just staggering. For $1 million in Monaco, you get a microscopic 16 square meters of prime property. I mean, that is barely a standard hotel room. Take that same exact million to New York, and you double your space to 34 square meters. But drop it in Mumbai, and suddenly your million stretches out into an expansive 103 square meters. The money itself hasn't changed at all, but the geographic reality makes it an entirely different lived experience. And this geographic scaling applies to absolutely everything. Take something as basic as a men's haircut. In Norway, you're paying nearly $65. In Zambia, it's $1.65. You could literally treat your entire neighborhood to a fade in Zambia for the cost of one single trim in Oslo. From prime property all the way down to your daily grooming, the weight of your wallet depends entirely on where you're standing. Which brings us to Section 3. The ultra-exclusive enclaves, where $1 million barely buys you a bedroom. In this top tier, we already mentioned Monaco's insanely tight 16 square meters, which is driven by intense demand and severe geographical limits. But look at Hong Kong at just 22, Singapore at 32, and London at 33. The truth is, you aren't really buying space here. You're buying access. You're paying for capital preservation, political stability, and a foothold in the most densely packed global power centers on Earth. You get your foot in the door, for sure, but very little room to walk around once you're actually inside. Now, there is this really fascinating global economic symmetry hiding in these numbers. It's like a giant puzzle where the pieces just perfectly align. $1 million buys you exactly 34 square meters in Geneva, Switzerland, and the exact same 34 square meters in New York. A top-tier European banking hub and America's cultural capital have naturally arrived at the exact same valuation for prime real estate. The global markets have effectively priced these two powerhouses as absolute equals. Let's shift gears to Section 4, the global metropolis middle. This is all about balancing extreme cost with cosmopolitan living. Stepping out of the low 30s, we actually find a little bit more breathing room. Los Angeles offers 38 square meters for our $1 million benchmark. Paris offers 40, Shanghai 42, and Sydney 43. Despite being spread across drastically different continents and cultures, it's wild how the prime purchasing power here is incredibly consistent. This shows just how efficiently global wealth distributes itself around the world. LA offers slightly more space than its East Coast rival New York. Paris and Shanghai, which obviously have vastly different historical landscapes, are nearly identical in luxury value. If you want world-class cultural amenities without being squeezed into a Monaco-sized shoebox, well, this is exactly the tier where the global wealthy park their capital. All right, on to Section 5, High-Value Prime Markets. Here is where we maximize your luxury footprint. If your goal is to find the global markets offering the absolute best property value for your $1 million, this is where you maximize your footprint. Miami offers 60 square meters, which is nearly double New York. Tokyo offers a very respectable 64. But then we see these massive, massive leaps. Dubai, with its endless development, sits at 91, Madrid at 96, and Mumbai at 103 square meters. This tier offers an incredible, tangible return on your investment for high-net-worth individuals looking to really stretch their capital without leaving prime territory. Let's just pause for a second and really emphasize this number: 103. In Mumbai, your $1 million secures you 103 square meters of prime property. Drawing back to our very first data point today, this is over 6 times the space you would get in Monaco for the exact same financial investment. 6 times the footprint for the identical amount of capital. It perfectly underscores that wealth isn't just about the numbers sitting in your bank account, it's about the geographic leverage you apply to those numbers. Finally, Section 6, Redefining Real Estate Value. Let's look at the true meaning behind the million. So, what's the big takeaway from this explainer? Well, first, real estate clearly divides modern wealth classes into renters and owners. Second, while $1 million is a standard baseline, it is absolutely not a standard value. Third, from a haircut to a high-rise, purchasing power is strictly geographically bound. And finally, true luxury in the modern world is defined by location, not just budget. Understanding these regional disparities is absolutely crucial for efficient wealth building. Which leaves us with this final, incredibly important question for you. Looking at all this data, from the tight constraints of Monaco and Hong Kong to the expansive offerings in Madrid and Mumbai, if you had $1 million to deploy today, where would you buy your prime square meters? Would you choose exclusivity and access, or would you go for footprint and space? Think about your own global real estate strategy. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep thinking strategically about where your wealth belongs.